Mayo Clinic Health System officially opened a new facility in Mankato today. Mayo Clinic Orthopedics and Sports Medicine is located at the Pond on Madison. The new clinic will house 2 specialists and is something leaders say is another step in strengthening their ties to local sports, as Mayo is already an orthopedic partner of local college athletics. The new location is already taking patients, and its physicians say that they hope to address the need for immediate care for athletes upon injury.
We hope to have that kind of that walk-in need, that acute care for injuries that happen same day or over the weekend. And so we're trying to really put ourselves in the mix into that location where we know that people, if they need us, we're right here.
Alongside the new clinic is an ETS performance facility, a sports training organization that has partnered with several professional athletes, such as former Vikings wide receiver Adam Thielen, who attended the event alongside former Minnesota Wild center Ryan Carter.